एवरीवन, वेलकम डावोस डायरी 2022 में आप सभी का स्वागत है। मैं हूं स्वाति खंडेलवाल और आज मेरे साथ वन ऑफ द टॉप इंडिया इंक वॉइसेस मिस्टर अनीश शाह, द ग्रुप MD and CEO of Mahindra and Mahindra. Sir, बहुत बहुत स्वागत है. It's always a pleasure to speak to you and welcome in Davos. Different this time. इस बार हम गर्मी में हैं as opposed to the snow behind us. All the jackets, overcoats are out, right?
That's right, Swati. It's a pleasure being here with you, and it's beautiful. No overcoats, no slipping and sliding in the snow. This is wonderful to be in Davos without the snow, though there is a beauty in the snow as well.
Yes.
So we've seen that for many years, and this is a great change.
Well, this is only for now because again we are back in January for the next one. So
right.
let's
So we should
enjoy
enjoy
what
it.
you. Yes.
Absolutely.
इस बार जो थीम है इस फोरम की, and I think very very important at a very opportune time we are talking about working together, restoring trust. I think this says it all. I mean, the trust deficit that we are seeing all around us in different economies and its repercussions जो हम देखते हैं on the way economies are doing. What's your take? And you know, I'll come to India later, but from the overall standpoint of where this world is going, what's your take?
We do need to restore trust,
Yes.
because if you think about it from a geopolitical standpoint, there are lots of challenges we're facing around the world. If you think about it from an economic standpoint as well, we are starting to see the world becoming smaller in a sense that it's becoming local, and the benefits that we had from a global world are maybe starting to disappear. Hopefully that does not happen. We also think about it from a climate change standpoint. That's one area where we do need to restore trust with everyone in the world. That the leaders from a government perspective, from a corporate perspective, are taking the actions that are required to ensure that we leave the planet a better place.
I think ये सभी के लिए ज़रूरी है to take that upon them as their duty. क्या वो कर सकते हैं? And I think Mahindra and Mahindra Group, and I'll come to that in the India story. पहले तो इंडिया की ये जो आज यहाँ पर presence है बहुत heartening है. We've got a big delegation from many states, big corporates like you, and of course the government at the center. कैसे collaboration में काम हो रहा है? What is it that you expect? यहाँ से हम क्या message देंगे as a country?
So I think this time it has been very well planned. The Honorable Industries Minister Piyush Goyal actually had a session with all the CEOs who are coming here to talk about the messages that we want to send, how we want to position India, and that coordination is excellent.
Okay.
I think India is very well positioned right now because if you think about it from an economic standpoint, India is positioned to do well even in the turmoil that we are seeing around the world. And also from a climate change standpoint, the commitments that have been made by our Honorable Prime Minister Modi at
Right.
COP26 translated into a lot of actions being taken, really take India into a leadership stance. And that's something that we've got to talk more about at Davos. And we've got a large delegation here to do that.
Absolutely. For Mahindra and Mahindra Group, and ये मेरा सवाल इसलिए क्योंकि आप खुद climate change के लिए बहुत फोकस रखते हैं. Sustainability is part of your main core goals. किस तरह से आप रोल प्ले करेंगे to, you know, participate in India's growth story?
So we are taking a leadership role in sustainability and climate change.
Yes.
The World Economic Forum has set up an alliance of India CEOs for climate change, and we are co-chairing that alliance. But beyond that, it's a set of actions being taken in three categories. One is to green ourselves. Second is to help decarbonize our industries. And we've got a number of industries that we're playing in, and we're working through many of them. And third is to nurturing our planet and doing various things to plant trees for watershed management, regenerative agriculture. So these are multiple areas that we are taking actions in. So this is one area that is one of our top priorities. We are taking it extremely seriously and partnering with a number of folks around the world to make a real difference.
Okay, so partnerships, collaborations, I think यही एक way forward हम देखते हैं even at the global level and if you talk about at the micro level too. जो challenges आप अभी देखते हैं, what are some of the key areas जो हमें जिनका ध्यान रखना है which can come in the way of our growth? For example, inflation, big concern right now. Debate हमेशा होती है growth versus inflation, and right now we are going through that bit of a uncertain period in time. India के लिए नहीं, globally भी हम वो concerns देख रहे हैं, but कैसे हम अपने आप को उससे de-risk करें?
So there are a lot of challenges. Geopolitics is clearly one of them, which will cause disruptions in supply chains and other areas. Inflation, specifically with regard to commodity prices, is something that we are seeing significant problems with. But in all of this, I think in some ways what COVID has taught us is the ability to be resilient and the ability to come out stronger. Even through the COVID period, we've come out much stronger than we would have expected 2 years ago. And today, as we go through the last year or two, a lot of industries have done well. It has been positive for even MSMEs who we were concerned would be badly hit with it. Yes, there have been some challenges, but on balance, I think we've come out much better. So given that, I feel the challenges we have is something that we can tackle. And given where India is poised today from an economic standpoint, it is much better positioned to tackle these than most other countries around the world.
Okay, जो हमारा अभी एक volatile situation या period है when it comes to crude prices, commodity prices and so on, आपको कब लगता है? You think it's just a temporary? I mean, of course it's a temporary phenomena, but how long do you think ये रहेगा? और कितने cycles ये affect कर सकता है? For India Inc., obviously it's a matter of concern.
It is a matter of concern. I think the key driver right now is the geopolitical situation, and it depends on how long it goes and whether it expands beyond its current crisis or not.
Correct.
The hope and expectation is that it does not expand beyond and it settles down. If that happens, I think a lot of things will start falling in place.
But
yes,
if it doesn't happen?
If it doesn't happen, then
we'll have to deal with it.
We will have to deal with the next crisis as it comes.
Okay.
But from an economic standpoint, yes, inflation is a worry. But that's one where the RBI has raised interest rates already. We may see some more raises. But we are not going to see the magnitude of interest rates rising as we would see in the Western world.
Okay, so you're saying कि rates बढ़ेंगे, but वो इतने नहीं बढ़ेंगे कि demand को impact करने लगे.
They may impact demand to some extent.
But not, of course, as much as what the others are doing.
Not as much as what the others are doing.
Because growth हमारे लिए एक overarching, importance है. RBI governor has also said.
That's correct.
The finance minister has said, but अभी बढ़ाना rate mandatory है, ज़रूरी है. So you think we'll be better off?
I think we will be better off. And we have to raise rates to ensure that inflation doesn't run away.
Yeah.
And from that perspective, I do think RBI has taken the right step in doing it proactively. But at the same time, where we are right now, I don't see the need to raise it as much as what the US or maybe other countries will have to.
Okay. Coming to your group, Mahindra and Mahindra, big group with lots of businesses, very, very promising, I would say. Renewables or the energy business, for example, the electric vehicles, you are in tourism in many ways when you talk of holidays and real estate and so on. आपके growth drivers, आपने हमेशा, you always have these very specific points that you make. So do you still stand by them? Has there been any change? क्या important focus areas रहेंगे FY23 as we start for the group? And आगे जो आपने ROE की हमेशा बात की, you always talk of numbers and you say minimum 18% return on equity is the goal. So are we on track?
So we've talked about the path to 18% ROE based on everything we've talked or the results we've declared in the last few quarters. We've actually shown that we're ahead of track on that. And our focus now has been on driving growth. So the areas of growth are our 4 core businesses: auto, tractors, Tech Mahindra, Mahindra Finance. All 4 have been doing very well in terms of, again, what we've declared results over the last few quarters. We've got our growth gems. These are businesses that should reach $1 billion market cap in the next 2 to 4 years. I've been talking about 3 to 5 a year ago, so it's 2 to 4 now. And they're on track. We've got 7 businesses that should reach $1 billion market cap.
Okay.
So that's, again, a value creation. And
Can
some
you
of
tell
our
us
digital platforms.
Which of these are the ones that are reaching $1 billion mark?
So again, it's 2 to 4 years. The ones that will reach there in 2 years are our listed entities: holidays, life spaces, logistics. And then we've got others that some of them may go towards an IPO, and some of them would likely be private or a unlisted subsidiary. And that's something that we will in some ways create value and then see what are the different ways of monetizing it.
Okay. So this remains, of course, the major goal of the group when it comes to chalking out क्या businesses हैं आपके जो growth drivers रहेंगे and which are the new promising businesses. If I were to break down this in the automotive space, because M&M traditionally a very big auto company, and I think आपका focus भी वहाँ पर है when it comes to electric vehicles also. So tell us, sir, क्या plans है electric vehicles को लेकर? I know there's lots that's happening. in the UK. Can you spill some beans?
So I'm going to talk about electric three-wheelers first.
Okay.
Because in electric three-wheelers, it's a space that has not been talked about a whole
Yes.
lot. We have a 70% market share today.
And it's a high margin business, huh?
And it's a good business overall. We've had a good ICE portfolio or a non-electric portfolio in three-wheelers as well. And we've seen a lot of that actually transition to EV. And that transition has been much faster than we expected over the last year.
Okay, so three-wheelers, very promising.
Three-wheelers, very promising. That industry is going to take off even further. On the four-wheeler side, we'll have to wait for July. So there's a lot more coming up. And we'd be happy to talk to you immediately after that launch. But there's a lot that we're going to talk about in July.
Okay, so July, हमें रुकना होगा for your four-wheeler plans in electric space. But this is something very different, huh? जो अभी तक महिंद्रा ने हमने electric, it's not like आपने electric cars पहले नहीं बनाई हैं. You have, but this
is going to be creating some of the best cars that are out there, because electric is really a powertrain.
Exactly.
And a consumer still wants to buy a car that they love. They love the design. They love the interiors of the car. It
and the
drives
range.
very well.
They want the range.
They want the range. So
they want the right price.
So all of those things have to come into play and create a set of vehicles, a set of options that the consumer is going to like a lot. And that's what we're focused on.
Okay, so इससे ज़्यादा आप शायद आज नहीं बताएंगे हमें four-wheeler electric vehicle strategy पर, but three-wheelers you're saying is a great area. But two-wheelers में अब what's the company looking at? Is it just your partnerships with Java and?
That's right. So two-wheelers, we have a very specialized play with brands like Java, ESD, BSA that will be launched in the UK. So that's a very specialized play in two-wheelers.
But India में आप अपने Mahindra branded two-wheelers नहीं होंगे?
No, we have been in the two-wheeler space in India in the past.
Yes,
as Mahindra,
but you have
in the mass
pulled
market
out fully.
space. That's something we don't expect to go back in.
Okay, so three-wheelers and four-wheelers. Okay, when it comes to commercial vehicles, because that is another area. Tractor में तो आप सबसे बड़े हैं पूरे world में when it comes to volume. क्या plans हैं? What is it looking like? It's a cyclical industry, CVs typically. तो अब आगे कैसे growth plans लग रहे हैं in the CV space?
So commercial vehicles also, I'll segment that, because in the smaller commercial vehicles, the pickup trucks less than 3.5 ton, we've got a very large share, a 60% plus share.
Yes.
So that's one space that will also be a target for electrification. And as we develop our SUV portfolio, it will move to our pickup trucks as well.
Oh.
So we will see a lot more
CVs,
we will
smaller
see a lot more electric CVs as we move into the future. On the larger truck side, there are still a number of technologies out there. Hydrogen actually is probably going to be one of the leading technologies.
आप भी उसमें participate करेंगे?
We are looking at various options there. It's still too early to talk about it.
Sure.
But once we have something more there, then we can discuss it.
Okay, so two-wheelers, we understand आपके partnerships रहेंगे. Three-wheelers की आपने बात कही, and of course commercial vehicles in the smaller space. But what about tractors? How's that business looking like, and how will you grow that? आपकी बहुत सारे acquisitions भी हुए हैं globally, especially in Finland. I don't know. वहाँ पे how has been the response? What's the future looking like?
So the results we declared in the last 3 quarters had our international subsidiaries actually making a good amount of profit on a very clear path to our 18% ROE targets.
Wonderful.
So that business has turned around very well. And that's also giving us technologies for India. Farm machinery is a huge opportunity in India.
Exactly.
We're getting those technologies into India as well. And besides that, the tractor business in India has done well. Yes, the first half of the year was outstanding in terms of growth. The second half of the year was very weak. On balance, I think we've ended the year fairly well as an industry. And there will continue to be good demand for tractors as we go forward. And Mahindra has been very well positioned in this space.
कितनी growth expect करते हैं इसमें on an annual basis?
So this year, my sense is it will be roughly somewhere between 5 to 10%. April started off very well, and that gives us hope that we will start seeing a better industry.
Okay.
It could be lower, but we are too early as yet. I think as we see the monsoons come in, that always is a big factor.
Yeah.
We'll have a better sense in the next couple of months as to where we see.
But
this
अभी
year.
जो projections हैं monsoon के, they look pretty much on track.
They look pretty much on track, and as I was leaving Mumbai yesterday, there was a bit of rain as well, so that is a positive.
Positive. Okay. Drones, एक new business emerge होकर आ रहा है, and I know because ये related है in many ways in the farm and agri space, and the government has also gone very clear to say industries should adopt drone technology जिससे farm business को बढ़ावा मिलेगा. कैसे देखते हैं ड्रोन स्पेस में? डू यू थिंक यू हैव
we have already been using that technology.
Yes.
So we've got a team that's been doing precision farming, not just drones but AI, looking at putting sensors in tractors, sensors on the field, and that's a huge plus in terms of creating higher productivity for farmers. And that is one space where we feel that we can do a lot more still. And it's one space where farming will look very different 5 to 7 years from now, as we see a lot more precision farming.
Okay, you know M&M, since the time I've been tracking this group बहुत सालों से हमेशा देखा है हमने आप acquisitions पर नज़र रखते हैं, and lot of collaborations and partnerships I think have been all along. आगे as you go, do you believe there are opportunities and there will be gaps that you think you can fill in through M&A opportunities, or you think अभी आपके हाथ में सब है, you just need to now streamline? M&A को लेकर क्या focus होगा company का?
So our focus right now is to grow, accelerate growth. So
Okay.
that will require M&A, that will require partnerships, that will require all of the above.
Okay, so कहाँ पे हम देखेंगे opportunities that you will be focusing on? When you say growth, I'm sure you've talked about few areas. क्या वही areas में आप acquisitions देख रहे हैं as we speak?
So back to our 4 core businesses, 7 growth gems, and some digital platforms that we will look at monetizing as well. And besides that, we may look at a couple more industries where we see real growth potential. But I think we have a lot of potential already in the businesses we have today.
Non-core assets, I think to keep cleaning up and figuring out ये business में अब आगे जैसे आपने two wheeler में किया, जैसे आपने Sangyong के लिए किया है, what do you think would be the focus for the group? You think you've done all the cleanup और अभी भी ज़रूरत है थोड़ा cleanup की?
That's really where we spent most of the efforts in the past year and a half or
Yes,
so.
I know.
So now we're moving that effort entirely towards driving growth.
Okay, so now focus is driving growth. 4 pillars, as you said, उस पर company का focus रहेगा. When it comes to the group's this year's target, when you start the year, April में आप target बनाते हैं, इस साल आपकी क्या projections दिख रहे हैं for each of your business, and especially on the finance side, I want to talk to you about NBFC space really looking up as we go along, and I think आपने वो mention भी किया है. क्या growth targets हैं? Can you give us a broad sense on numbers, because I know you are the numbers man always, so I like to get some dope on that.
So I'm going to take the opportunity to talk about Mahindra Finance's results.
Yes,
which were declared.
Yes.
Mahindra Finance had a tough first quarter where gross NPAs went up to 16%. Having seen the data over the past 20 years, we knew that was a temporary phenomenon. And therefore the business actually came out and said that 70 to 80% of these provisions will be reversed in 3 quarters. And in fact, 100% have been reversed. So it was a blip, again, as we've seen before. But what we are doing now is really transforming the business. First, there are multiple ways in which we are driving lower volatility in gross NPAs. Second, there are diversification opportunities we're looking at from a portfolio standpoint. Going into the rural affluent, for example, looking at urban markets, as our SUVs have been doing well in urban markets today, looking at loan against property and a few other areas. So Mahindra Finance is driving growth in a much bigger way as well, in addition to reducing volatility for GNPAs and leveraging data and technology in a much bigger way. So this business has tremendous potential. I think it's one that has had some tough times in the past, but we've got a very strong team in place right now, a lot of experience there, and I'm very optimistic about that business.
Okay, so you think आगे इसके prospects and growth opportunity strong होगी. Quickly on the life sciences business, and I know that space also we expect it to grow well. Focus किस तरह से है और आगे growth projections again in that space?
So life spaces or real estate has been a fairly small business for us. And this is one where, again, with the Mahindra brand name, with the work that the team has done, where we've been able to fulfill our promises to customers, we feel that there is, again, tremendous potential to grow this business. And with the new CEO there and some of the newer team members who come in, they're really looking at this space with a lot of aggression in terms of how we can grow. So that's really the mantra for us across our businesses right now. How do we drive growth? How do we scale our businesses?
Driving growth, scaling business. That's the mantra of Mahindra and Mahindra. Thank you very much, Mr. Shah, for sparing time. तो ये थे Mahindra and Mahindra Group के MD and CEO हमसे exclusive बातचीत करते हुए. right here in Davos at the World Economic Forum. Thank you.